Vegas was built to create great expectations. And while some unexpected faces are at tonight's final table, Alan Cunningham and Cyndy Violette are back for their second time, and that's certainly not unexpected.
Alan's got a ton of experience. I'm always keeping an eye on him.
He's got no weaknesses at all. He's got every facet of the game.
You just have to focus on the table you're at, but I think I fared pretty well against them.
Let's try something different.
Cyndy is tough.
You've got to be careful if you're going up against her.
Raise the pot.
She has got everything in her game.
I came to this World Series very prepared. My focus is the bracelet.
9 players, 1 bracelet. Let the game begin.
Yeah!
Welcome to the Rio in Las Vegas and the 2005 World Series of Poker presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. Tonight we're watching Pot Limit Hold'em. 9 players vying for the $370,000 first prize and a World Series bracelet.
Hello everyone, I'm Lon McCarron alongside Norman Chad. The scuttlebutt at this year's World Series was the large fields would create a roadblock for the pros, yet they keep popping up at the final tables. Tonight it's take 2 for Alan Cunningham and Cyndy Violette.
Alan Cunningham already has won a World Series bracelet this year, and he is the most feared player at this final table. Cyndy Violette's best game is stud, but she finished second to Eric Seidel in a recent World Series Hold'em event and starts today as our chip leader.
What a World Series Cyndy Violette is having. 5 times in the money, 3 short of the World Series record of 8. Alan Cunningham has a bracelet already in the $1,500 no-limit event.
Joe Sebok is 28 years old, son of poker great Barry Greenstein. Just took up playing poker about a year ago.
Well, here's how our final table players stack up on the La Vitra chip count. Cyndy Violette with a tenuous lead over Steve Liu and Brian Wilson. Derek Lafort is the short stack at the table, and probably with a big target on his forehead. Bert Booten won a bracelet in 2001 in Pot Limit Hold'em. He's from Las Vegas, and on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam, he has pocket 9s, and that is worthy of calling the big blind. Sebok folds over to Cyndy Violette. King Queen offsuit.
All right, I'll go along with that.
And Cyndy will make the call as well.
And remember, we're playing pot limit today rather than no limit. You can bet the size of the pot at any time.
Brian Wilson got by the fashion police today.
Oh.
8-6 of clubs.
It's an epidemic.
He's not dressed to your... How about Alan Cunningham? Is he dressed to your standards?
Alan with a couple of 3s. I'm not going to say anything bad about Alan. He's got bracelets.
He's in the small blind, and he also will limp in for half the price. And now John Gale in the big blind.
Queen 3. Okay. No raises before him.
He'll play for free. 5 will go to the flop.
And here we go. The flop comes out 6, 9, 7. Booten finds another 9. He's got a set.
And you see how smart Alan Cunningham is? He sees he's got 0% chance of winning, so he checked.
He can't see the graphic.
Yes, he can.
Only the folks at home can see the graphic. Booten will bet his 3 9s, though, 15,000.
Well, he should, and that will narrow down the field.
Violette folded.
Brian Wilson calls with an up and down straight draw.
Alan Cunningham got out of the way. Gale folded as well. So 2 players, Wilson and Booten, go to the turn. And the turn card is a 5. Wilson gets his straight on the turn.
It's Mardi Gras for Brian Wilson on the turn. And bad news for Bert Booten, who will slow play his set of 9s.
At least Wilson's wearing the right shirt for Mardi Gras. And he's going to bet his straight, 25,000 to Booten. And he just calls.
I feel bad for Bert Booten. You just can't put your opponent on a starting hand of 8-6.
The river card at ace of clubs means nothing to Booten. Wilson gets the check mark. He can only lose the hand now if he folds. Booten will be first to act with his set of 9s. He comes out with 25,000.
I'm all in.
And Brian Wilson's going to spring the trap.
And that would push Bert Booten all in. And Booten now with a severe case of agita.
Oh, boy. What a tough situation.
He thought his set of 9s was good until that bet, and now he's caught in a tough place.
And he will make the call, and he sees the 8-6 of Wilson, who wins with a straight. Bert Booten has been eliminated in 9th place.
3 9s I had.
Another happy customer.
Boy, that is tough to take for Bert Booten. He thought he had the best hand the whole way, but Brian Wilson gets the straight and wins the hand. The prize at the end of the journey. Very nice-looking bracelets this year, don't you think, Norman?
Oh, yeah. They used to get them out of a Cracker Jack box, but with the poker boom, they've upgraded the jewelry.
It's actually real gold. So we do have 8 players left in this pot limit Hold'em tournament. Final table with the blinds at 1,500 and 3,000. There is John Gale. He's only been a pro for 3 months. He's from Bushy, England, just outside London, with ace-jack of hearts.
He's a much more personal guy when those shades are off.
He'll bet 9,000. Table folds over to Cyndy Violette.
Cyndy first played poker 20-odd years ago when she was on pregnancy leave from the Horseshoe, where she was a blackjack dealer. She played 1-3 stud, never looked back.
And with King, Queen of clubs, she'll make the call. So it's Violette and Gale going to the flop. And the flop is 5, Queen, 7. Both can use the Queen, but for different reasons.
A pair of queens, top pair for Cyndy. And for John Gale, he makes the flush draw on the flop.
And Gale actually pushes all his chips in.
Well, he can't push them all in right now. This is pot limit, as we mentioned, not no limit. You can only bet the size of the pot. He's pushed in too much. He'll have to take some chips back.
So he gets a rebate. He does bet the pot. Action, though, is to Cyndy with a raise in front of her.
All right.
And with a couple of queens, she's going to raise.
And he just had about 4,000 left then, and so he's now all in on a draw. It's a good draw, though. He's got the
I need help.
flush draw, and he's got one overcard to the board, the ace.
Violette with the advantage.
Black.
She wants to avoid the flush, hard flush of Gale, of course. And now the turn card. It's another queen. Violette now with 3 queens.
That's better than just black for Cyndy. She's closed one of the doors on John Gale. Gale now would need a heart that does not pair the board, or he's going home.
And now the river card. 10 of hearts. He wins it. Wow, what a river card for John Gale.
We just saw Brian Wilson crack 3 of a kind, and now John Gale does the same.
Well, John Gale's not going home. He, in fact, doubles his chip stack.
He lives again. He's got his life.
Still here.
And Cyndy Violette now has a little tougher climb to her second World Series bracelet.
The 2005 World Series of Poker is presented by Milwaukee's Best Light, brewed for a man's taste, Miller Brewing Company, and in part by New Degree for Men. With twice the protection you need, it won't let you down. And Harrah's Entertainment, home of the world's richest poker tournament. The World Series of Poker presented by Milwaukee's Best Light.
Another throng of poker players here at the Rio trying to make the next final table, but one out there has a special interest in today's final table.
How's my son doing? You okay?
There's Joe Sebok's dad, Barry Greenstein.
Poker never makes me nervous, except in this one situation. Yeah. It's a little different when your kid's in there than when you are, yeah.
Joe Sebok says that when he was a kid, the only card game he played with his father was War, and nobody beats Barry Greenstein at War.
Joe Sebok with pocket deuces. He started the day very well. He's making his dad proud. Cyndy Violette folds. Alan Cunningham will not play over to John Gale.
In the small blind.
With a 9-7 of clubs. And he's going to play. He'll make the call. Joe Sebok and John Gale to the flop. And the flop is 4 Jack 5-1 club. Gale checks.
Neither player willing to stick their neck out on that flop.
Turns a 6 of hearts, both now with straight draws, but Sebok still leads.
That's a much better card for Gale, though. He can make a higher straight, and he's going to bet his draw.
12,000 from Gale to Joe Sebok.
I'm gonna bet the pot.
Oh, there's a bet his father would be proud of. Barry told Joe today to be aggressive at this final table, and that's what Joe's doing right now.
It's 43,500 more to John Gale.
He's trying to push Gale off his draw.
And he does indeed. John Gale folds to Joe Sebok.
Sebok makes his pair of deuces pay off.
And rabbit card was a 3 John Gale would have made his straight had he stayed in.
That bet was a winner for Sebok. He would have lost the hand.
Well, Joe's having a good time here at the final table. No doubt a better time than he had yesterday.
To make the final table in this event, I had to play opposite my dad. Directly opposite.
that worked out pretty well, that we were at the same table.
Worst experience perhaps of my life.
Are they allowed to put father and son on the same table? I mean, what's the deal here?
I would vote for no. It's playing with your dad at the thing that he does better than almost anyone in the world. Not only do I have to play cards, I have to go through emotional turmoil.
There are a lot of little things about the way he was betting his hands and certain things he was doing.
I remember one particular play I made, I made my bet, I looked up and he actually did this.
I think it was good. I think, at least I hope Joe learned something. The only chance I get to teach him.
You don't want to be corrected by your dad on national television for the world to see.
That's so brain damage, seriously. That's just scary, brain damage. I can't, we joke with each other, I can't help teasing him. I've grounded the kid for 3 years and he's trying to get back at me.
I'm just getting back the allowance that he grounded me from, that's all. There's definitely some back and forth, but it's always in jest. I mean, there's no question. I can't even look at you when we play. I always start cracking up.
Poker has actually brought us closer. It's something we can talk about all the time, and I'm really happy about the relationship we have. I don't see how it could be any better.
Joe Sebok's following in Barry Greenstein's footsteps, and if he wins here, they'll be the first father and son to have World Series bracelets.
I went into the same profession my dad was, and it's been a nice common ground through the years that we can share.
He was a grout specialist?
Close, drywall.
Oh.
Cunningham with Queen 10 offsuit is in the hand for 10,000 over to John Gale with pocket fives. Deliberately makes the call.
There's Tony Cousinea. He actually knocked Barry Greenstein out of this tournament yesterday, so maybe the kid wants some revenge later.
He's laying low right now. Cyndy Violette with a couple of eights, and she will make the call. So we've got Violette, Gale, and Cunningham going to the flop, and the flop comes. Jack, 10, 6, all diamonds. Cunningham picks up a pair of 10s.
And also, he has the diamond draw, so he's in best position here.
Cyndy will check with her eights.
Surprised Alan Cunningham checked right there, Lon.
John Gale also with his pair of fives checks. Turn card 4 of clubs.
Now, if Alan Cunningham could see our percentages, and I believe he can, he'll see that he's got this hand just about covered from every which way but loose.
Alan's very smart. He cannot see the percentages, though. Violette bets 20,000. Alan calls.
And over to John Gale, just a pair of fives, and he doesn't like it anymore.
So Violette and Cunningham to the river. The river card's another 4, and Cunningham earns the check mark. He'll only lose the hand if he folds.
Well, he's played this hand conservatively, so Cyndy could actually steal the pot here if she wants to make a big bet, I think. Now she'll check. And now Alan, he might want a value bet here with his 10s and 4s. No, he checks too.
Pair of 8s.
And Cunningham lets the cards speak for themselves. Cyndy Violette sees she has lost the hand. Alan Cunningham gets a lot stronger while Violette's chip stack continues to melt.
The Toyota Points Leader is brought to you by Toyota. Choose any direction, as long as it's forward. Toyota, moving forward.
A poker player has to be very active to be successful on the Toyota Player of the Year leaderboard. Alan Cunningham and Cyndy Violette have proved that, both making repeat appearances at a final table, but they're not alone in that regard. It all started at the circuit events when Phil Ivey made the final table at the Rio. Chad Brown and Chris Ferguson both made it in Atlantic City, and then again in Rincon, where Ferguson came away with a win. Then it was on to Lake Tahoe, where once again we saw Phil Ivey, who finished second. And the trend has continued here at the World Series. Chris Ferguson picked up where he left off at the circuits. He made it to the $1,500 pot limit Omaha table, along with Toto Leonidas, who also finished second in the $2,000 limit hold'em tournament. Eric Seidel first won the $2,000 no-limit bracelet and then made the final group in the pot limit Omaha tournament, where he was at the table with Chris Ferguson. Man, that's a lot of repeats. Consistently strong play from those players you just saw is reflected on the Toyota Player of the Year leaderboard. Chris Ferguson tops everybody. Cyndy Violette at our final table is third.
And Cyndy can move to the top of that board with a win today. There are her lucky stones, which sometimes she uses as a side dish to go along with her macrobiotic food that she favors.
I noticed one stone said trust. Trust and poker, I don't see them.
No, trust in men. It's not about poker.
All right, we continue with 8 players. Blinds at 2 and 4,000. Joe Sebok with ace-jack offsuit. Joe's reaching, and he comes out with 12,000.
I do feel for Joe. You don't want to make a mistake with your father watching. Plus, you've got a curfew tonight.
Stephen Liu next to act. He will fold. Over to Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson almost didn't play in this event. He was sick just before it began, a bad cold, and he nearly was a late scratch.
Well, his ace-king will make him feel better. And he's going to raise it to $25,000. That is Derek Lafort from Canada. Number of Canadian players at this year's World Series, but he's not going to play this hand. Action back now to Joe Sebok with a raise in front. And he will make the call. So Wilson and Sebok to the flop. Wilson with the advantage. 5-10-4 rainbow.
No help for either. Joe Sebok checks.
Wilson with the ace-king is going to bet $15,000.
Sebok says another reason he likes the fact that poker is his job is he can wear sandals to work. He is called.
It's an ace on the turn. Sebok loves it now, but he may hate it in the morning.
Yeah, they both pair the ace, but Wilson with the better kicker. Sebok checks over to Brian.
And Brian immediately bets $40,000, leading the action.
What would Barry do?
Well, Barry's got a lot of time to think about this. Apparently been knocked out of his tournament.
I'm all in.
Barry might not do that.
I call.
Jeez, I hope Joe's not driving home tonight with Barry.
So Sebok is all in with his jack against the king of Wilson's.
Maybe he'll get lucky and hit a jack.
Barry doesn't sound too encouraged with the situation. His son, Joe Sebok, will need a jack and a jack only, or he is out of here.
River card is no jack.
Oh, jeez.
Sebok is gone.
I just saw the pain and I was worried. Good job. That was a tough one, man.
So Brian Wilson wins the hand. Joe Sebok, eliminated in 8th place, takes home almost $34,000 from this World Series final table.
Barry's not clapping. He's trying to figure out how long to ground the kid.
So all of Sebok's chips go into the bank of Brian Wilson, and he's now king of the table. Quite an unexpected turn for this newcomer to the game.
During the last World Series, I stumbled into a satellite and I won my seat to the main event last year. I'd only played at a casino one time, so I really had no clue, no idea, and I just felt like a fish out of water. But, it was still fun. Then I really had the poker bug and I started playing more. I don't have a game plan. I just go in there and try to adapt to what's going on around me. Keep playing around, boys. Obviously, the bigger name players, you've got to be careful with them. Their experience levels are definitely a lot more than mine, so I picked up a lot of different things from different pros. I played in a satellite, and I got heads up with Dan Harrington. I ended up losing, but it was great. That was the greatest thing. I couldn't pay him to sit down and play me like that, and that's experience. That's what I want. I want to play against the best players. I'd rather lose today and learn something so I can take it tomorrow and win a lot of money.
Wilson won a poker trip to Estonia where he met British professional Dave Colclough. Colclough started coaching him, and he has preached to him, patience, patience, patience.
And you look at our chip count and how quickly things turn around. Wilson with twice as many chips as a second-place player, and the once-upon-a-time chip leader Cyndy Violette is now the short stack of this table. 7 players remain, each seeking the gold bracelet. Alan Cunningham with Queen 8 of diamonds.
Alan doesn't have an image of playing fast, but he usually does play fast. He likes to move his chips around.
10,000 chips. Over to Tony Cousinea from Daytona Beach, Florida. King 10, couple of clubs. And he will make the call.
Cyndy Violette says her plan is not to have a plan here. I can't blame her, Lon. Every time I've had a plan, I wind up in divorce court.
Maybe that's the actual plan. Ace 3, also a couple of clubs for Cyndy. And now the flop with 3 players. We got 4, 6, queen, couple of clubs, and another queen for Cunningham.
Cunningham ahead. Violette with the nut flush draw.
And Cyndy Violette's going to move all her chips into the pot with that flush draw. Alan Cunningham will make the call. Cousinea pushes chips in as well.
So Cyndy Violette's tournament life at stake here, and she's going to need to see a club. That's her best shot.
And it's another queen. Cunningham holding the hammer now.
And again, if he could see those percentages, he'd see that Cousinea has no chance. He just pushes them out. Now they're heads up.
3 queens.
Flush draw.
Wow, I had the king 10 of clubs.
You did?
Oh, there goes some clubs for Cyndy. Chances diminish.
He had clubs too. I need a miracle. I need that 8 of clubs. No, not 8 of clubs. What am I saying? 4 clubs. I mean, anything.
She needs a club. It can't be an 8 or a queen.
Okay, deuce of clubs.
That'll work. All right, one card perhaps left for Cyndy. 10 of spades. Alan Cunningham takes the pot.
Playing, Cyndy.
And knocks off Cyndy Violette in the process.
Thank you.
Cyndy lost when she held 3 queens, and she lost to the 3 queens that Cunningham held that time. More chips for Cunningham. No bracelet for Violette, but a fine run at this World Series.
I feel great about how I performed so far, and can't complain. I mean, just to make final tables is a victory in itself.
So away from our final table, the father-son rehash begins.
I know, but it's an experience, right? So now you'll be better prepared the next time. Okay? Yeah. Still, we never thought you'd make a televised final table, so what the heck, right?
You want to go upstairs so you can yell at me?
Okay, we'll talk about it.
No, I think he's going to yell at him.
Oh, boy, when they say we'll talk about it, you know what that means. Stephen Liu, originally from Hong Kong, lives in England now.
Nickname is Lucky, Lucky Lou.
Queen, Jack of diamonds, that could be lucky. Bets 14,000. Table folds over to his British Isles mate, John Gale.
Who's in the big blind.
10 to me.
Him and Stephen Liu are familiar with each other, playing on the internet a lot.
It's ace 6 of spades for Gale and a slight advantage. Going to the flop, Jack, King, 10, a pair of jacks for Liu, couple of spades for Gale.
And both of them pick up a straight draw.
Gale first to act, he is going to check. Liu with his jacks.
I bet they'll put
30,000 more.
How much more you got, Stephen?
28.
And Gale will raise to put Liu all in. Liu makes the call.
Okay.
You're winning.
Stephen Liu all in is winning, about a 3-2 favorite.
Are you feeling lucky? I think so.
Not a very confident Stephen Liu as we go to the turn. And it's another spade. Not lucky for Liu. John Gale wins the hand with a spade flush. Liu drawing dead on the river. He is eliminated in 6th place. He started in 2nd today, but walks out of the casino with over $56,000. As we mentioned, John Gale turned to poker a short time ago, and with wins like that, he's got to be happy with his new profession.
Behind the desk at the office, working 18 hours a day, you get pretty bored. I was a management consultant, full-time, just played poker for fun. And then I was lucky enough to win this WPT tourney. And when I went back to work, suddenly I wasn't very motivated. So I sold the company and started playing poker full-time. I feel alive at a poker table.
Really?
I love talking to people I love, the banter.
We're trying something different and friendly right now.
It's not very friendly.
The camaraderie is great. I've made a lot of new friends. This is something I absolutely love.
When he was very young, John Gale was a boxer, but like me, he got tired of getting hit, so now he's just a huge fan of the sport.
5 players left. The blinds have been increased to 3,000 and 6,000. King, 10 offsuit for Alan Cunningham in the pocket.
Raise.
He's going to raise it to 15,000 to John Gale. No thanks. Tony Cousinea.
Cousinea says he always thought he'd be on ESPN, but he thought it would be for baseball or football.
Raise a pot.
So many of us did. So Cousinea goes all in with his ace-10, suited in clubs. And his wife, Raquel, got to be nervous with the husband put all his chips in the pot.
That's exactly the pot, isn't it?
That's exactly the pot.
Now Alan Cunningham contemplating the call.
I don't see how I can lay it down.
Somewhat modest King 10 offsuit.
Now he is going to make the call. Cousinea's tournament life at stake. Cousinea with a 3-1 advantage, though, and all in.
Cousinea, a very solid player. He already has 2 12th place finishes at this year's World Series.
He's previously sat at 6 final tables, aching to win a World Series bracelet.
Thought you had ace jack when you said that. I'm like, oh no.
No, ace jack I definitely couldn't lay down.
So these two will go to the flop with Cousinea all in. And the flop. 8, ace, 4. Cousinea gets immediate help with the second ace.
Oh, Cousinea looks like he'll be on ESPN a little longer now with that flop.
Oh, he's confident. He sits down even though he's still all in. Big advantage now for Tony Cousinea. Alan Cunningham seems happy about it almost. 4 of hearts.
Oh.
It's better if you just wait till they're all out there before you start getting emotional.
Cunningham's hope here was to get running hearts, and he just got the first half of that hope.
And Cousinea can't bear to watch. He goes in the stands.
Just put any 10 out there. Put a 10 out there.
Another heart from Cunningham, and Cousinea would be out of here.
Cunningham almost rooting for Cousinea, says put a 10 out there. And, oh, it's a heart. Tony Cousinea hears the groans. He is gone from this tournament.
It's just not fair.
Running hearts takes out Cousinea.
What a bad beat.
Bad beat indeed. Alan Cunningham can usually outplay his opponents. When he starts getting lucky too, everybody better watch out.
The World Series of Poker presented by Milwaukee's Best Light.
Lon McCarron and Norman Chad back at the Rio, event number 20 of 42 at the World Series of Poker. Alan Cunningham with pocket sixes. He's going to open the action with 20,000.
Blinds right now at 4 and 8,000.
Gale folds. Brian Wilson.
He is in the big blind.
Call.
And he'll make the call. 5-4 of hearts and a new shirt.
Maybe he heard your criticisms.
Well taken. Pair of 7s and 10 on the flop. No help for Wilson, who trails in the hand big time.
Wilson checks.
Cunningham right now, 9-1 advantage, and he comes out with 25,000.
Yeah, he likes his pocket pair in this situation.
Brian Wilson is going to check raise 100,000.
Wow.
That's exactly what Alan Cunningham's thinking.
Brian Wilson's put on his flippers, and he's waiting in the deep end of the pool with the one and only Alan Cunningham. Cunningham usually the aggressor. And Brian trying to bluff him off his pocket pair.
And Alan Cunningham gives it up. What a bluff that won it for Brian Wilson and shows his 5-4.
And he shows it. I don't think you can make a living for too long doing that, but a tremendous play for Brian Wilson.
He played in last year's main event, but still calls himself the rookie. But Brian Wilson certainly played that hand like a pro.
Brian Wilson had only been in a casino once in his life before last year's main event, and actually stopped playing on the internet. He says it's bad for live play.
And on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam, the whole cards of John Gale, King 7 offsuit. He'll come out with 22,000 chips to Brian Wilson. And, well, his favorite cards, 5-4.
He's now in the small blind, and apparently the 5-4 is becoming almost an affliction.
He will make the call.
At least last time they were suited.
Yeah, exactly. 5 of diamonds, 4 of clubs now. The flop comes, all diamonds, king, jack, 9, Gale pairs his king.
Top pair for Gale, and Brian Wilson picks up a flush draw.
And he's going to bet 52,000 with a diamond draw only.
This is a semi-bluff at best, and again, bluffing also becoming an affliction for him.
Oh, Gale calls right away with his kings. So, Gale with a 2-1 advantage to the turn. It's a 2 of hearts.
No help for Brian Wilson.
And he reaches.
No hesitation.
It's a big blue stack. 20 blues, 100,000 for Wilson in the pot.
Geez, Lon, he apparently read the book on reckless aggression. Cole Clough told him to be patient. He's being very aggressive here.
I'm all in.
Wow, Wilson might be in trouble. Gale pushes all in.
John Gale says, not on my watch. I have the best hand. Let's see what you're going to do, and let's see what Brian Wilson does.
Oh, and Wilson wilts. Too much risk there. Strong play by John Gale, and he scoops the pot. He was once close to being eliminated, but Gale now is the leader of this table, and making the final 4 here was big to these players, but I'm sure they would trade it all in a heartbeat to be in the final 4 of the Rochambeau tournament, which concludes now in this edition of The Nuts.
This has been such a dream.
At
It's completely awesome.
These are the best of the best.
You can imagine winning the Super Bowl, the World Series of Baseball, the NBA championship. This is bigger than all of those combined.
Good luck, gentlemen, and 1-2 throw. And that's a 1-0 lead for Bobby.
I stayed up all night working on a new sequence called the Rafe Beater. Scissors, paper, paper, scissors, rock, rock.
And Bobby Boyd defeats the favorite in the tournament, Rafe first. 2-1 for Kevin. Kevin inside the dollar bill's head.
I studied every dollar bill there was.
Taking out the 5.
But I heard that you brought 5s and I didn't get to those.
Uh-oh. And he making a strong comeback. Yes! Whoa! Kevin Keller advances to the championship. This is what you're playing for, gentlemen?
I mean, it's a dream. It would be... wow.
It's scissors paper, a nice early 2-0 lead for Kevin Keller.
To hold the trophy up high, say, Mom, look at me now.
3-3, this is for the whole thing. 1 throw for the championship. Oh, Bobby Boyd with a great comeback. Bobby Boyd takes it down.
This was a $10,000 mistake. Rock or paper. World championship. And I lost.
How'd you know how to go scissors on that last move?
I figured, you know, scissors or paper or rock would win, and I just... scissors.
I leave it to you. You want the rock, paper, scissors trophy or the gold bracelet?
I'll tell you, that trophy is so pretty. If it replaced the Stanley Cup, I'd play hockey.
Well, we had fun with it, but it was for a good cause, raising money for the Bad Beat on Cancer charity. 4 players left in our $5,000 pot limit hold'em event. Alan Cunningham with King 3 of diamonds. He bet $20,000 over to John Gale. King 5 suited. He folds. Brian Wilson. 5-4.
It's like a stacked deck, but you don't want these cards.
He wants them. He's going to make the call.
This man has an addiction to 5-4. There are support groups out there.
And Lafort with King 5 suited. And is there somebody write a column recently on the dangers of playing King 5 suited? So Wilson and Cunningham to the flop, and a pair of 10s and a 4. Big news for Wilson.
That 5-4 is becoming the power hand of poker.
Oh, they're going to have to rewrite the super system. And Wilson bets $30,000 with it to Alan Cunningham.
He got no piece of that flop.
I raise it.
Cunningham announces a raise, and it's $105,000 total.
Well, Alan says enough is enough, but that is an odd bet for him. He's bluffing here, and he's put in virtually his remaining chips. He doesn't have much left.
And Brian Wilson is going to push back. Alan Cunningham puts his chips in the pot, and this is our degree all-in moment.
Come on, baby. Come on now.
Geez, Lon. Suddenly and inexplicably, Alan Cunningham has a 1.5 feet out the door. He's in a lot of trouble here.
Wilson with the pair of 4s, and now a 3 on the turn.
Alan Cunningham is going to need a 3.
Come on, baby, come on.
Or a king. As we know, 2 of the kings have already been folded, so he needs a case king or a 3. Or like a lightning bolt, he is gone.
And the river's an ace, and he is gone. Brian Wilson collects the degree checkmark, winning with 2 pair, and Cunningham eliminated in 4th place.
Boy, a rare meltdown from the great Alan Cunningham. I am not going to sleep well tonight, Lon.
He's got 1 gold bracelet at this World Series and came oh so close here.
The all-in moment is brought to you by New Degree for Men who take risks. It won't let you down.
We are now down to just 3 players at the final table of this $5,000 pot limit hold'em event. Derek Lafort's the short stack.
He's good friends with Scott Fishman. He loves playing shorthanded online.
Brian Wilson, number 2 on the chip count, and our chip leader is John Gale right now.
Everybody who's left, Lon, has sunglasses. What the heck, go get me a pair.
No, don't break the streak.
I won't.
All right, so Lafort will bet his King 9 offsuit, $22,000 over to John Gale. King Jack of diamonds.
Let's do it.
I don't think he wants him to do it if he knew he had king jack of diamonds.
John just might bet because you ask him to, and he does indeed call. Now Brian Wilson got a 6, and he's got an ace.
I bet the pot.
Both hearts, and he bets the pot.
Boy, that's a pretty aggressive move without 5-4 offsuit.
So Lafort, short stack, he's going to put the rest of it in.
He was pretty much committed with that short stack. John Gale in a different spot.
Probably laying down the best hand.
Well, he's not laying down the best hand. He's not that pot committed, so John Gale will fold.
Come on now.
So it's left up to Brian Wilson to try to knock off Derek Lafort.
It's good news for Lafort that John Gale left the hand, but he's still behind, heads up.
See some nines.
Lafort is a 2-1 underdog. Wilson leads with the ace-6. And now the flop. 10, deuce, 3, couple of hearts in there.
Flush draw now for Wilson. Lafort's day is growing shorter.
Looking for a king or a 9. Lafort is all in. Now the turn card, 10 of spades. Lafort 1 card from the exit.
Remember, Wilson with the heart draw. Lafort still needs a king, or he'd need a 9. It can't be a 9 of hearts.
King.
Hey, I crossed my fingers for close to 8 years. Nothing good ever came of it.
9 of hearts. Black 9. 9 of hearts.
Well, they're fighting over the 9s now, but 1 card to come. The river card is a 7. He's going home. Brian Wilson wins the hand. Derek Lafort eliminated in 3rd place. He'll take home over $112,000. Brian Wilson eliminates his 4th player from this pot limit final table.
Oh, you're making me do all the work. I was going to do it after the flop.
So the unlikely remaining pair of Brian Wilson and John Gale are set now to go heads up for a World Series of Poker bracelet.
Heads up. I feel I've got the game to certainly match anyone.
I'm not frightened to be there at all. I'm not nervous in the least bit.
I'm a maniac when I get a big load of chips in front of me.
I'm not thinking about anybody. I'm going to play my game and throw my chips around the way I want to throw them, and they're going to fall where they fall.
Just hope that bracelet fits. You know, I've got pretty small wrists, so we'll worry about that afterwards.
We're heads up, and John Gale's in good chip position.
In his book, Total Poker, David Spanier wrote that one gambler he knew liked all the traffic lights to be green when he drives to a game so he can get the feeling of everything going right for him. Well, I've got the feeling that there were no red lights today for Brian Wilson on his way to the Rio.
Well, he's got pocket 6s, so he's green-lighting another bet, and he'll call the big blind. Over to John Gale, ace-jack offsuit.
Gale won a WPT title in January, trying to get a World Series bracelet in the same year.
Brian Wilson trying to become the first person in a Cubs jersey to win a championship since 1908. Gale bets $12,000.
I bet the pot.
Pot bet up to $52,000. Oh, and he gets a stare from John Gale.
Gale protecting a pretty good chip lead against Wilson. An ace-jack offsuit, a pretty good hand in heads up. Not sure if he wants to play here.
I raise.
He says raise.
Very sure he wants to play here.
He made the call with those chips, and now he pushes in another $100,000. And Wilson goes all in.
I call.
Gets the call. Here we go.
Bang, bang, bang between the two. And Brian Wilson now is all in.
Good luck.
You too, mate.
And Wilson has the advantage with the pocket pair. But still, Wilson's tournament life at stake right here. And now the flop. 8, 4, 7, nothing much for Gale. Wilson, 1 card short of a straight, though.
Wilson still ahead with the pocket pair, and now a 5 would give him a straight as well.
Come on.
5, seal it.
Deuce.
Wilson calling for low cards with John Gale holding 2 over cards. And now the turn card. It's a jack! Oh, now John Gale 1 card away from a bracelet.
Come on, right. What a turnaround on the turn. Brian Wilson now all but out of here.
John Gale has turned the tables on Brian Wilson.
Bank could be so cruel.
Brian Wilson on the river would need a 6, or a 5 would give him a straight. Otherwise, John Gale is our champion.
River card. Oh, it's a 5! Wilson wins it!
Yeah!
Talk about a turn of events. What a hand. Brian Wilson doubles up but John Gale still has the chip lead.
I would have rather you put the 5 down first.
At least we're having fun.
Oh.
Gale says this is fun.
The 2005 World Series of Poker is presented by Milwaukee's Best Light, brewed for a man's taste. Miller Brewing Company, and in part by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's forward. Toyota, moving forward. And Harrah's Entertainment, home of the world's richest poker tournament.
Welcome back to the Rio. We continue heads up. John Gale still the chip leader, but Brian Wilson made some great headway in that last hand.
John Gale used to coordinate IPOs for a living, whatever that means. This is supposed to be less stressful.
It is not less stressful right now for him, I guarantee. Pocket tens. He comes out with 20,000 chips over to Brian Wilson.
I bet the pot.
With pocket fours, he's betting the pot.
I think he misread his hand, Lon. He thinks he has 5-4 off suit.
Now on John Gale.
I'm going to raise the pot.
And that's 120,000 more.
Brian Wilson.
I'm going to re-raise the pot.
About to step into some quicksand there.
Wilson pushes all his chips in.
I call.
There we go again.
Am I in bad shape?
I don't know.
I got pocket fours versus pocket 10.
Yeah, you're in bad shape, Brian.
The flop's going to come 4-7-7.
I can't take much more of this.
Jesus. You're killing me here.
John Gale with a second straight shot to take down this title.
4 of hearts.
The flop. Oh, he called it! On the money!
John Gale's going to be back behind a desk, maybe under a desk pretty soon.
Yeah, it can't happen. It can't happen. No way.
Wilson with a set of fours, a huge advantage, and a chance to double up again. Here comes the turn card. And 8. Wilson's got the boat, but he still has to sweat.
Wilson was all but gone, but if he doubles up a second straight time, he'll be the chip leader. Gale, though, with a 10 or 8 on the river, would be our champion.
Here's the river card. Oh, no miracle for Gale. Brian Wilson wins the hand, and he is our chip leader now.
There's an old Persian verse, Lon, that goes, I have denounced everything but wine. I have forsworn everything but gambling. I'll drink to that watching these two guys.
Oh, boy. You know, great drama. Has somebody you want to root against. This is great drama, but I like both these guys.
John Gale, 51 years old, going on 100. And remember, Brian Wilson nearly didn't play in this one because he was sick. This tournament has made him very healthy.
And ace-queen offsuit. It's not 5-4, but it's still very good cards. And he's going to come out with 31,000. John Gale. Ooh, lots of pocket paint. King-Jack.
That's a good hand and heads up. Gale, though, a little deliberate.
Raise.
Oh, gun shy, I'm sure. He's going to raise it up.
Yeah, you're right. He's had Wilson on the ropes, so maybe afraid to get into a pot, but as you see, he is raising.
I bet the pot.
Another pot bet from Wilson. 182,000. Baby steps here in pot limit.
Yeah, but baby steps towards each other. Gale hoping he's not up against a big pair because he'd be dominated.
Okay, I'm all in.
Call.
Here we go. We've seen it before.
2 live cards.
Come on, baby. Come on now. God, I can taste it. Come on.
Brian Wilson with a 2-1 advantage. Could take the bracelet now. Gale's all in.
I've got it in front twice. That's how I do as an underdog.
Maybe it's Gale's turn to get lucky.
If you get this way, you deserve it.
I hope so.
Boy, Gale and Wilson have been through the ringer today. Here, heads up. It is John Gale who was all in. Here's our flop. 3-9-6. Wilson keeps his advantage.
That sends Brian Wilson one step closer to a possible championship. No help there for Gale, still looking for a king or a jack.
So this exciting final table is boiled down to a thrilling heads up. Every card is key. The turn card, 7 of hearts, another low card. Not what John Gale needs.
John Gale all but had the bracelet around his wrist just a little while ago. Now all he can do is stand there and watch the tournament perhaps slip away.
2 of diamonds.
Gale needs a king or jack on the river, or Brian Wilson will be our champion.
River card is a 2! And that does it. Brian Wilson has won this pot limit tournament, and he is stunned.
He's almost in shock.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I'm glad I played you, buddy.
Well played, buddy.
Wow, after watching Brian Wilson, I expected a volcanic reaction when that 2 hit the table, but he's savoring his moment. He is a World Series of Poker champion. He beat a very good player in John Gale, who can only imagine how that bracelet would feel on his wrist. Brian Wilson came to this final table hoping to gain some valuable experience from the more seasoned players. In the process, he eliminated over half the table himself, and with a little luck, that's right, he prevailed over John Gale to win his very first World Series of Poker bracelet.
I don't even know what to say. I can't even believe it. And I'm just very lucky.
Good experience indeed. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. See you next time at the World Series of Poker.